This black man, who had just been rejected by all the banks, suddenly had an idea. If he bought this office building, which housed 7 banks, the banks would become his tenants. That way, they could no longer reject his loan applications because of his skin color. He decided to start with real estate, looking for properties for sale in the city. Soon, he found an apartment in a predominantly white neighborhood, right next to a black neighborhood. He approached the owner, Mark, to negotiate. He hoped to buy the apartment at a lower price, but Mark insisted on a price of $35,000. Charlie only had $30,000 in savings. Just as he was about to leave, he noticed a calendar. The note on it mentioned that the person offering it was the bank manager. An idea suddenly struck Charlie. The next day, he stood outside the bank, waiting for the manager to finish work. He hurriedly approached the manager, claiming to be a friend recommended by the owner. They were doing a business deal, and he hoped to get a $5,000 loan, but the manager still rejected him. Back home, Charlie didn't give up. Finally, he received an important phone call. It was from Mark, the owner. He asked Charlie why he had used his name to apply for a loan. Charlie apologized, but Mark didn't blame him. Instead, he admired Charlie's courage and was willing to sell the apartment to him. He even agreed to be Charlie's loan guarantor. Charlie was thrilled. His persistence had finally paid off. He used the loan to buy his first property. The next day, he successfully rented the apartment to a black woman. As Charlie had expected, the demand for rental properties was high. Charlie paid Mark the remaining balance, and Mark was so impressed with Charlie that he proposed they go into business together. Mark would handle the contracts, while Charlie would handle the rentals behind the scenes. That way, white people wouldn't know they were doing business with a black person. Charlie immediately agreed to the proposal. Their partnership went smoothly, and they made a lot of money. One day, Charlie received the news that Mark had passed away. Even worse, the company's shares were inherited by his widow. This woman was extremely racist. Not only did she force Charlie to give up the villa he lived in, but she also tried to buy out his share at a low price. Charlie was naturally unwilling to give up his shares. The woman, however, threatened to take him to court. A sympathetic lawyer told Charlie that black people almost never win in court against white people. More importantly, Charlie had always been behind the scenes, and no one could prove he was a partner. Determined not to give up, Charlie decided to seek out the bank manager from earlier. Only he could testify that Charlie had a partnership with the owner. However, the manager had already become the widow's financial advisor and refused to meet with Charlie. Not willing to admit defeat, Charlie looked around and realized there were 7 banks in the building. Because of his skin color, none of them would serve him. Charlie came up with a bold plan. He decided to buy the entire building and make every bank inside serve him.